All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army, episode 2.197. And boy, oh boy, we got a lot to talk about. And I do mean it this time. Headlines, we're going to hit Marsch, Jesse, you guys might have heard of him, Man City, and earthquakes. Weekly what if, Ronny versus Messi off the field, kind of. Premier League, we got a transfer roundup and title race status update. Rest of world, a couple of US men's national team shout outs, and then, of course, stoppage time with Ivan Toney's best bets and everybody's favorite segment, GOAWs. Now, finally, stay tuned after all that. We got a quick chat with good friend of the program, Kellen Rowe, who was fresh, and I do mean like literally right fresh, off of a intercontinental flight from Morocco, where the Sounders were the first MLS team to compete in the FIFA Club World Cup. So stay tuned for that. Now it is time to welcome in these beauties here with me this week. First up, we got Mitchell Goulet, aka Overtime Mitch. So Mitch, on a scale of bedridden to dunking basketballs, where is your knee on the healed-o-meter?
Ooh, good question this week. I'll give it a 4 right now. Saw the doc this morning, and she said no between the legs. We can go off 2, we can jump off 1, but no like around the backs or nothing off the backboard or anything. So we're working our way back. In all seriousness, I'm 3 months post-op, and we're feeling good, getting stronger every day. I'll be back out there kicking ass in no time.
Dunking on 12-year-olds within, what, say 5-6 months?
Yeah, easy.
Okay, nice. That's a good timeline. Tyler Terrence looking dapper as always. Your question is again about the teen angst soccer novel that is in the works. I'm absolutely fascinated by this. I'm not going to make you give everything away, but I'm going to maybe sort of dink and dunk and get some things here and there, and also sort of raise the profile with our listeners. So, your question: is there going to be any sex scenes?
It's funny that you asked me this because I flew out to Palm Springs this past weekend for a little guys trip, and I was editing it on the plane. Like I have like 45 pages down, and every time I go to sit down to it, I just end up doing a lot of editing as opposed to writing. And like I was thinking about what's going to come next. And he does have a crush on a girl named Rachel Johnson. Tommy Brewster does. And here they are, like 16, 17 years old. Like, truth of the matter is, it's like there very well could be some dirty shit going on at Scotchwood High School. But like, is that the type of novel that we're going for? Are soccer moms all across America going to want to buy that for their kid come Christmas time in 2027? I don't know. I still need to make that decision. I am debating between the good and the evil in my head. The evil usually always wins, but since this is a business and a monetary decision, I'm probably going to leave the sex scenes out. Maybe a passionate kiss or two. Maybe that gets interrupted by Tommy's best friend, Joey, the class clown, classic guy, big time lacrosse goalkeeper who comes off the bench during soccer season, really doesn't get a lot of burn. But Tommy and Joey have been best friends since like second grade. They've had to been kept out of the same classroom since second grade. But anyway, yeah, you didn't ask for all that.
Hypothetically,
Again,
just hypothetically, maybe that happened. Maybe you got to put out 2 different versions. Have a PG rated, and then maybe
a Sam's Army After Dark,
After Dark version. Exactly.
porn novel.
Listen, I like this idea. You can hit a lot of different markets there. Okay, I love it. I love this Teen Angst novel. I can't wait to read it. Let's head to headlines. So, less than 1 week after Leeds United States of America was born, brought into the world, it was suddenly and unceremoniously killed, or at least significantly altered, as Jesse Marsch was let go after a 0-1 loss to Nottingham Forest. So Tyler, I know you were in your feels about this. So let's start with you. What thoughts you got for us on this?
Sad, disappointed, confused. A lot of the same emotions that I had when my parents told me they were getting divorced. But like I just don't get it. Like, how could you give this guy a full transfer window and 1 game and then let him go? Like, how much did they spend in the transfer window? 40 million, which for Leeds is a lot of money, and it's Weston McKennie, and the other guy's name is escaping me. But like, I just don't understand. And was given an impossible task for a team that I think really fancies themselves as Europa Conference League to mid-table, but what they are, I think, is mid to relegation. And unfortunately, any American is going to have a shorter leash than any other coach. And that's the situation that Jesse Marsch found himself in. And it just continues to be a bummer to watch an American coach struggle and not get the appropriate amount of time, particularly with a club like that. So I feel for him, and I'm just confused more so than anything. I don't know where the line is. And more importantly, I don't know where the line is for an American coach. And like, it's a cutting off your nose to spite your face type situation for me.
Yeah, the timing. I mean, usually there's a little bit more smoke before the literal fire happens. So the timing,
they haven't won since November. I think that is what was driving everybody. That's a long time to go without 3 points.
But listen,
there's a month of the World Cup.
Right.
So like on the aggregate, you went what 7-8 match days without a win. It fucking happens, specifically for a team that's in a relegation battle. And that's what you find yourself in. Like, yeah. And who knows? You could be Everton and beat Arsenal the following week. Like that happens too. So I don't know. Again, it's garbage. I don't like it.
They wasted a lot of their good results, and I think they got that new manager bump early in the season, and when I think they see other clubs getting it now and think that maybe that they can benefit from that. I agree that he wasn't given the shake that an English manager might have gotten, but I don't think he failed at Leeds. I think what he did there, he played a very distinct style, a style and an identity that I think they'll keep even after he's gone, despite, not having a coach that enforces it. But like their pressing and their relentless play is going to continue, and they're going to succeed or fail because of it. But I don't think that's I don't think they're in the position they are solely because of Jesse Marsch. He was given an opportunity. He got 2 wins in 17 games. That's just not a recipe for a guy that's going to keep his job, American or otherwise. And the timing of it, I agree, kind of sucks. It's weird that they gave him the full transfer window. They gave him another American and then kicked him to the curb. Maybe the board likes that Leeds USA identity, but maybe not Jesse. I don't know. I too am confused about certain aspects.
And not for nothing, take a look at who they've been playing recently. Forest, who hadn't lost in their last 4 games and who won a couple and have been playing well since the beginning of the season. They beat Accrington Stanley in the 4th round. You tie Brentford, who's obviously been playing well recently. You beat Cardiff in the 3rd round replay. You lose to Villa, who's been playing well. Draw against Cardiff, a draw against West Ham, a draw against Newcastle, and you lost 3-1 to Leeds. Like these aren't ridiculous results for a team that, they're 15 through 20. That is who they are. And you're like, it's as I say this and read all this, like it pisses me off even more. And I hope that Jesse Marsch is just drowning himself in a pool of spotted cow.
That's fair. I'm sure he is. Now the question that, instantly comes up for everybody, because we've been talking about Jesse Marsch being the dream manager for U.S. men's national team. A lot of people anyway has been talking about that going into 2026. He's now available, very available. And then suddenly, like I'm seeing, and I get a sort of an interesting cross section of the internet on Instagram and Twitter. The tide has turned. I actually have not looked at what my Instagram poll has come up with. I'll look at it right now. Critically important vote. Do you want Jesse Marsch as the next manager of U.S. men's national team? 60% said yes. I'm actually surprised by that based on the comments I've been seeing. I would have thought it'd be lower. So 60% said yes, they want him to be the next manager of the U.S. men's national team. What do you guys think? Does this have any impact on that?
No, he's a candidate, just like everybody else is.
And
you're going to say his
availability makes him a little more desirable?
More desirable
or undesirable by the reason?
The answer is no to both questions. His not even failure at Leeds United should have no impact on whether or not U.S. men's national team fans should want him as his head coach, and his availability shouldn't have any effect on the desirability as well. You're going to sign up blindly for Jesse Marsch right now without knowing who else might be interested in the job. What if Roberto Martinez, Jose Mourinho, Ancelotti and
then we're talking about an entirely different class of manager. In my eyes, as a U.S. men's national team fan, I don't picture a Jose Mourinho type to want to coach the U.S. men's national team. It makes sense to me and to the average U.S. men's national team fan, I'm assuming, to have this American manager that was just sacked, who, let's be honest, it wasn't a failure, but it wasn't a success, come and coach this men's national team. It's something that would be familiar. It's the learning curve on it, I think, would be minimal. And I don't know, it makes sense to me. I would love a Mourinho. I would love a first-rate manager to come in and overhaul the entire thing. I just don't realistically see it happening.
I agree with you that realistically it's not going to happen, but I also think that America is in such an interesting spot with the World Cup being hosted here in 26 and everybody knowing how talented this group is and having seen it played out the way that it did in this past World Cup, that, like, again, that people who enjoy and love the idea of taking a project and a challenge are going to look at the United States as the best challenge with the highest probability of succeeding, and it might attract a higher caliber manager than we initially thought that we might be able to get. But no, Jesse Marsch's firing and his availability should not make him more desirable, and U.S. fans should not be automatically signing up for a guy who lasted less than a year in the Bundesliga, lasted less than a year in Premier League. Whether or not that's his fault is irrelevant. He did not last long there. Yes, he has been the most successful manager outside of the U.S. and in these big European leagues, but let's come back to the idea of what we talked about when we knew that Greg Berhalter wasn't going to be the coach of this team anymore. What do we want? We want somebody who's going to demand respect from these young kids and from this talented group of players who have all outplayed a Greg Berhalter type. Almost the entire starting 11 from the World Cup can say that Greg Berhalter might have been their worst manager in their playing career. Now let's find somebody where it's going to be, okay, this is arguably the best manager that I've ever had, and somebody who's going to immediately demand respect once they walk into the locker room without having said a word. I still think we need to keep that in mind.
Something you said makes me question something. So you mentioned that with the World Cup being here and this being a 4-year project, does that entice or de-incentivize a guy like Jesse Marsch, who's pretty understated as a person and is a big group kind of guy while coaching? Does that either incentivize or de-incentivize him to be in that limelight for this project, this World Cup? It's a big, daunting task, and someone like Mourinho is objectively more qualified to do so. But does the size and the magnitude and the visibility of such a project incentivize or de-incentivize any coach?
I don't think that he's afraid of the limelight at all. I think he actually kind of enjoys pressers and he enjoys confrontation and he likes to do all that. Whether or not he's still the right man for the job from a tactical respect and sort of locker room garnering type standpoint, that remains to be seen. I don't think that that de-incentivizes or pushes him away from this job because of how much he's going to be under the spotlight. I mean, you can make the argument that being the coach of Leeds United, you're under more of a spotlight and more scrutiny in the Premier League than you are as the manager of the U.S. men's national team, as somebody who used to play for the Chicago Fire. You know what I mean? Like
a little more hyper focus. Yeah.
And sorry to bring the Fire into this, but that's just simply who he is.
Well, what about just from a tactical, perspective? Like, Jesse Marsch's teams
we would be Canada for a World Cup. Can we agree that, like, John Herdman and Jesse Marsch kind of have similar styles? I think John Herdman is probably even more aggressive and more towards the insanity side than Jesse Marsch is, but like that's ultimately what we get. Somebody who reckless abandon, go play in the attacking third. Our outside backs are basically to be extra midfielders and extra attackers, and let's just see if we can match up with everybody 3v3 coming back the other way. Like that's what it's going to be. Would that be fun? Sure, but look what happened to Canada. They got their shit ripped apart. So, like, I don't know. It sounds entertaining, and I'd have a lot of fun in the summer of 2026, but we'd probably be bounced pretty quickly.
It would be so American for us to go and have a smash mouth approach like that.
But why is that? But is that American though?
It's American. It's not necessarily
it's American public. It's not necessarily the American.
It's not American soccer.
No, it's not American soccer. It's American public.
We need a hybrid. We need to find the middle ground, and I think Jesse, if he were to get the job, would be able to find that middle ground, I think, because I'm sure whoever the sporting director is going to come in and be like, dude, whatever was happening
on this place like you did.
This is not that. This is not that. This is not energy drink soccer. We need to have a more respectable and realistic approach to this.
Play some defense.
Something like that.
Yes. Well, it'll be interesting to see. I saw a lot of the criticisms that really came out of the woodwork as soon as he got fired from Leeds, strangely enough, or not. It was that he is even more tactically rigid or inflexible than Berhalter, which is one thing that Berhalter got crucified for. I guess it's sort of remains to be seen. It's a hypothetical scenario. Would he change? Could he, come back and not be that high pressing energy drink, score more than they score type of manager? I don't know. I guess we'll see. It's interesting how he became of soccer fans, American soccer fans in specifically are like, we just want what we can't have. Now that we can have Marsch, perhaps everybody's like, nah. We need Pep or Jose. Okay, speaking of Pep, we're moving on now. Man City. Okay, this we're recording this on Monday. All this news that we're doing on headlines all came out within a matter of minutes, if not, well, probably hours. But Man City is back in the headlines, and for all the wrong reasons, but the same reasons that we were talking about them in, I think it was 2020. So UEFA came down hard on Man City's, their accounting and their finances. City skated by. And, there was sort of a lot of talk. I saw Pep, was like, I demand an apology from everybody who was coming at us about this. He did an interview, I think just last year, this being Pep, and he said, I listen, I talked to the directors. They tell me what happened. If I find out that they lied to me, I'd be gone tomorrow. Well, we might have some interesting, interesting moments ahead, because the Premier League is now coming at Man City for the exact same things that UEFA came at him about. There's some differences here. Not good for City. So some of the loopholes that, sort of critics of what City did and how the process went allege that they basically used loopholes and, sunset clauses, or, it was it was after 5 years, so they couldn't like bring things to the table with UEFA. I believe that in the court of Premier League, so to speak, none of those loopholes are available. Like, the Premier League sounds like they are serious, and the fact that they are making a big deal out of this in the way that they are suggests that they are pretty confident that something is going to come of this. And if you want, read all the news outlets, they all suggest, okay, so here are the options. Like, it could be a point deduction, it could be a huge fine. Obviously, it could be relegation.
That's bizarre to me. The fact that they're throwing around even the thought of relegating Manchester City from the Premier League. Can you imagine?
I love it.
Having to throw it, tearing up Wigan. Like, oh my God.
I mean, there is
it would be
right?
Unheard of.
Juventus. It's like what would be the best though is like the next season of Sunderland Till I Die comes out, and Sunderland gets bounced like from automatic promotion because they play Manchester City on the last day of the season next year.
Cynical.
Yeah, see if they do all or nothing for Manchester City, their championship season. Yeah, well, so again, another vote that I offered up to the public followers was, what kind of punishment do they think City is actually going to see or face from this? And the majority, 39%, said that some sort of slap on the wrist is eventually going to come down. 20% said nothing at all. So that's 59% who think that basically this is not going to be a big deal. Whereas 41%, 21% said massive fines, but nothing more. And 20%, so 1/5 of the people said major penalties, loss of points, loss of trophies. That was the one I forgot to mention, by the way. They can lose trophies. So
that seems rewriting history-ish. I don't love losing trophies. I do like the idea
taking down the banners points, like as if it didn't happen. Yeah, miss me on that.
I do like the idea of them losing points though. Knock them back 15 or so.
Can I go on the record here and say that that 1/5 of people I think are actually the right ones, and that if this is dating as far back as 2009 and you're thinking pre-Manchester City dominance, and they have built their dominance on this type
that was the beginning of Manchester City dominant. That was the foundation. They're saying the entire foundation of
this whole monster has been built under false pretenses and under financial. And don't get me wrong, I'm not naive enough to think that they are the only team that's doing this, but Sheikh Mansour and Manchester City and that group that took over, like, they were the first ones to really go down this road and to build what they built. And if it comes out that they've been doing this for a while and it's like, billions of dollars that have been falsely reported and guys are getting paid under the table and advertisers aren't what they say they are and they're washing money through that, fuck yeah, it should be like a 20-point deduction. And maybe they should be threatened for relegation, because if they're going to win titles and set the bar and break the transfer market, which they also have done over the past 11 years. Yeah, the punishment, it should be of the highest order. Treason. Death by Sam's army. Sheikh Mansour should have to come on to Sam's army and explain and answer for every piece of wrong financial doing that he's
as punishment. And then he has to promote it.
And then Pep has to tweet it. Pep has to wear Sam's army gear on the touchline for the next 10 seasons.
The memes to come out of this, like today, there was so many funny, just troll tweets and everything, like, about Cancelo, jumping ship right before, deleting tweets. There was just so much funny stuff. But man, I do not know how this is gonna go. I really
credit to Cancelo and his group for getting him out of there when they did. I mean, I know a lot of people were surprised by that, and certainly me. And now that it comes out, and they're like, all right, that makes sense.
I mean, it sounded like he had a breakdown with Pep, which he could have just been fortuitous on the timing. But if he sounds
like Mane and Cancelo are rep by the same guy, just escaping disaster as quickly as possible.
I do remember tweeting about this when the UEFA stuff came out, and I haven't looked for the tweet, but I said, like, this is not the end of this, because there was talk even then that the Premier League was still, looking into this, and they have perhaps more leverage than UEFA. So man, this is going to be interesting. And
one final thing, it can't just be a fine. It can't just
money doesn't do anything.
Because they used illegal money to win for over a decade.
Money's no object to them.
They're being found guilty of just spending too much money. So they don't care about money. It's not about money, right? They
should be banned from like 3 transfer windows and 15 points.
They would bring up some academy kids, and it would be such a good feel-good story.
Fuck that. No, why are you saying
yes, they would? Yeah, they would.
Yeah, they would, but fuck you for saying it. Like, let's just enjoy the fact.
But they would try to spin it. They have this dedicated fan base now that they've illegally spent all this money.
Dedicated they have as good of a fan base as the Brooklyn Nets. Like, there's no fan. Like, Rudy is the only Manchester City fan that I interact with.
Rudy still hasn't found out about this. So.
No, he hasn't heard yet. Oh, all right. Well, I'm sure over the next few months, I don't know how long this is going to take. Is this like a multi-year sort of investigation or whatever? I mean,
it's going to come out on like a Tuesday afternoon.
You don't drop news like this and then say, well, we're going to spend the next 3 years investigating it. Like, this should be swift.
You would think, but like if City is able to, that's what defense attorneys do, right? They just sort of roll the ball and push it out. I don't know.
What would be enough point deduction to put them in a relegation battle? Like, for real? Like, they would have to start 10 to 12 points below.
Yeah, they'd have to be at zero points right now, which would be a 45-point deduction.
Not happening.
Well, all right. So you think about the number of seasons that Juventus is guilty of financial fair play, and they're actually talking about deducting another 20 from Juventus. That's not really done yet, but they're talking about that. Juventus can still appeal this decision, but is it like per season? They've been doing this since 2008, 2009.
That's why I said what I said. I think that this is capital punishment worthy. It really is.
Yeah. Death penalty.
Whatever the death penalty, relegation, whatever the death penalty is for a soccer team, they should if all this comes out as true, and this ESPN article that I'm sure we've all seen by now, like if all of that is true, or even 3/4 of it is, why not? Why not?
The thing is that they were basically caught with their hand in the cookie jar by that, that whole document thing that came out, and that's where this all comes from, right? There was that, not WikiLeaks, but something leaks. I know that's terrible, but it was. You on the
QAnon side of internet?
You've been talking about your internet history and your leaks, and I don't want to hear about
Hillary's emails.
I don't want to hear about your OnlyFans expeditions on the internet. All right, take it easy.
God damn it! I wish I could come up with the name of where this came from, but it was the leaked emails that really caught them up the first time with UEFA, and that's what this is all about. it's hard to argue though. That's why when they got off, it was like loopholes. It was like, it had been too many years. They can't bring up some of this stuff. It was Der Spiegel, the German newspaper that brought it all out. Anyway, this is gonna be wild. Maybe it means Pep to U.S. men's national team though. Yeah, just thinking, just throwing it out there. You never know. All right, last headline, and on sort of far. Well, I don't know. There's no sort of way to transition to this earthquake that took place. I believe it was actually this morning, Monday, February 6th, in Turkey, in Syria, and Lebanon. I mean, it was a massive earthquake. There was like devastation across. I mean, like Twitter was just ablaze with all these videos that are incredibly sad, heartbreaking stuff. And then news that like Christian Atsu, who a lot of people remember, he played for Chelsea, played for Newcastle. I think he played for several others. Yeah, I mean the casualty number is just mind-boggling. The news came out that like several people from this team, what was it, Hatayspor, I think is the name of it. So Atsu had scored a game winner in the last moments of the game just last night on Sunday night, and then hours later, essentially, this earthquake hit, and apparently he hasn't been found. I think the technical director of the club as well has not been found. Like, obviously, this is a small sort of story within a much bigger story that is incredibly sad. But there were reports coming out that Atsu had been found and he was going to the hospital. Then reports from teammates saying that's not true. I have no idea what the truth is. This whole story is absolutely heartbreaking, and I don't know what the best way to donate or help or whatever is, but if anybody does, hit me up on Twitter or Instagram and maybe post something. It's mind-boggling, the devastation that is, they're still sort of counting, figuring like how many buildings were gone. It's crazy. So that's just a headline. No silver linings, nothing good to come from that. We will move on to weekly what if. Okay, so this is a hypothetical, as always. If you had to hire Messi or Ronny as your coach, not right now, not as a player coach. We're talking a little ways down the road, because I think the answer would be obvious right now. Let's say 5-10 years down the road. Oh, maybe not. Okay, maybe we can split this up and do two.
The answer is obvious whether it's now or whether it's 20 years from now. Why does is this really a question?
Really? Okay. I assume you're gonna say Messi.
Mitch, do you have any? I mean, this is.
Oh yeah, no, I think we're gonna disagree at the same time. 3, 2, 1. Ronny.
Messi.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Wait, listen. Tyler is so confident in his answer. Let's hear his rationale.
Explain to me your wrong reasoning, and then I'll.
No, you start.
No. You first.
You start.
Okay. Let me explain something to both of you. When you're thinking about building a team, and you're thinking about creating a culture within a locker room, which is effectively what a manager is responsible for doing. And let's say that Messi or Ronaldo, they're not going to be in charge of Rangers. They're not going to be in charge of Wolves. Okay. They're going to be in charge of one of the best teams in the world for their first job, if they were ever to take a coaching position. And quite honestly, I don't think either one of them is ever going to want to be a coach. They want to be owners. So with all that being said, who did Argentina just win a World Cup for? Not by far. They were clearly not one of the most talented teams at that World Cup. They literally, the sentiment for Messi willed this country to a World Cup. This man doesn't need to say anything. We saw that beautiful speech that he made at the Copa America final, and this dude literally can demand respect walking into a locker room like we were talking about without saying a word. You don't think that every guy on that team that Messi is in charge of they would want to run through a brick wall? I mean, that's what you hear every great player saying when they're talking about a great coach. They're like, I want to play for that guy. You watch All or Nothing, you would still want to play for Jose, even all of his flaws coming with it. I would want to play for Messi. Ronaldo would be the last guy I would want to play for, because he's going to do the Frank Lampard thing and be like, these fucking guys, they can't do it. I'm better than them. Why can't they strike the ball the way this? Why can't they get away with only running, 2 kilometers throughout the course of a game when they're 37 years old? This is not a debate. This is not.
So you bring up the World Cup as if you said it yourself. He's not going to coach Boca Juniors. He's going to coach one of the biggest teams in the world. And that country of Argentina would die for that man. we know this. A locker room is a room and a group of people that need leadership. Ronaldo, as a coach, would be a better leader than Messi. Messi is too soft-spoken. Anytime I've played with him or I've talked to him, he's just been too soft. He's not quite the vocal leader that I think, in my opinion, a coach should be. This is a personal thing. Who would you want as your team's coach? I would want Cristiano Ronaldo at the helm. Do I think either of them would be a particularly good coach? No. I would
have you ever heard of less is more? How much would Messi actually need to say? If he says one thing to you about your positioning in the attacking third, you don't think that everybody is going to turn their head and be like, yes, chef. Like,
and you think Cristiano Ronaldo just you'd pie him off and be like, fuck this guy. He doesn't have
yes. Yes.
No. This is recency bias based on his Manchester United.
But you can call it recency bias all you want. But the fact of the matter is that everybody has watched the past couple of years unfold, and Ronaldo is strictly for money, for power, thinking he's bigger than the badge that built him in Manchester United. And Messi, this glorious human being who wants nothing other than to win for his beloved Argentina, and he doesn't need to do anything or say anything, and all those guys would kill for him. And
Messi,
you don't think that Messi would be able to go to the likes of Barcelona, Madrid, Liverpool, PSG, City, one of the biggest clubs in the world, with so many egos and so many different personalities from all over the world, and they all would agree on one thing: this dude fucking knows what he's talking about and has my best interest at heart. You can't say that with Ronaldo. Ronaldo doesn't have your best interest at heart.
Oh, I disagree.
He has his
Ronaldo,
own.
Someone who thinks he is bigger than the badge. As a player, Ronaldo it's annoying that he thinks he's bigger than the badge. As soon as you give him that coach's title, he is now that head dog in the locker room. He has the respect that he so desires. There's nothing else. There's no place for else to his ego to go. There's no outlet
to the boardroom. His ego could go to the boardroom.
Good. Fuck the boardroom. But
also, either one of these guys could own any of the teams that they want to coach anyway. So what are we talking about?
That's true. But that's why it's hypothetical.
As an owner, I think I'd want Messi.
I want Messi coaching my Manchester City to pull them out of League One 6 years from now.
Now,
there's a feel-good story for you.
Yeah, right. Real bring it full circle. Well done, Tom. Couldn't you say that Portugal essentially willed itself to victory in the Euros thanks to or because of Ronaldo?
Well, Ronny didn't score that goal. I don't know, that final.
It's the Euros. That Portugal team was really difficult to watch. They played some dog shit soccer.
It's a little while ago. That was not the prettiest tournament of all time. But you could say they won it for him, sure.
That France team was like the US now. Those guys are babies.
That was not the France team that we know.
That was not Le Bleu that we have come to love and know.
No.
True. All right. I think we can all agree that they, first of all, probably would be bad managers. they're the thing about like the Thierry Henrys out there. They're just too good. You can't. Zinedine Zidane is the one who comes to mind, who somehow has broken that mold and has been an incredible manager as well as an incredible player. But
I think it was because he took a lot of time off. I think that there was such a big gap in between when he played and when he coached that he couldn't really say like, oh, I can still do this, because he can't do it anymore. Whereas Frank is like, I'm still Frank. I can still get out there and kill all of you. Like,
yep. All right.
Was there anything? So I love listening to the stories about Henry in training where he would just like say, "Fuck you, give me the ball. This is how you do that," and then just show everybody how to do. Love those stories. I want more of them. If anybody has some, reach out. But is there an element of the fact that like Henry was at Montreal when he was doing that? Yeah, he's better than those guys. I'm sorry, but he's just not quite the caliber of the teams that Zidane was coaching at Madrid. Zidane was handed.
I don't know. Henry was getting out coached by Bruce Arena.
Sure.
And it also didn't work in Monaco,
not comparing
right?
the two.
I mean, he was at Monaco too.
Yeah.
But he. I mean, like, what if Henry was given Madrid? If we're gonna make the comparison to Zizou, then like let's make the comparison. I think that he would be successful. He would win a trophy in one season at Madrid.
He wouldn't have done what Zizou did though.
No.
Yeah.
You or me, maybe even Mitch, could win a trophy at Real Madrid as the coach. All right, let's go to Premier League. So quickly, we're not going to go through the ins and outs of all the teams on the transfer window, but just quickly on winners and losers. Who was Mitch, you want to go first? Like who sort of stands out as either your biggest winner or loser?
Bayern Munich is the biggest winner, but we'll stay in England. I really like the business that Arsenal did. I'm sorry. It's biased. But Trossard, who is an established Premier League winger for the price that they got him at what, 25, is not bad in this economy. People were upset. I've never seen a fan base more upset about getting a player, Jorginho, who was in Ballon d'Or talks 2 years ago. Was it legit? No, it wasn't. No, but people were mentioning his name. He was on the ballot.
Who was mentioning his name?
They were.
I
saw a lot of people mentioning.
Listen, I was on the ballot for my performance in CFRS in Chicago, right? Like anybody could be on the ballot.
And I considered paying millions of dollars for you, but we went with someone else. I'm sorry, but it's Arsenal's business to me flew a bit under the radar because we didn't get the Mudryk that we wanted. That transfer in and of itself felt like a movie saga that just didn't have a pleasant conclusion. It was all so much of a money grab from Dinamo. Man, I don't know. Mudryk,
I think you guys did great. I think that's exactly
I'm really happy with our window is kind of what I'm trying to get at there. Biggest loser of the window, I'll figure that out. I'll figure that out in a couple weeks. But knee-jerk reaction is that Chelsea spending as much money as they did is just outlandish. I know that the economy, the player economy now is a hell of a lot different than it was even 5 to 3 years ago. But some of the sums of money that guys are going for, oof. Don't think we let Cody Gakpo slide. You can talk about him, but
no. I don't want to talk about him. First of all, the transfer market thing, I would love to have Tommy on here because he's literally writing a thesis on this. But like the transfer market thing, I don't know how much we can look at that anymore. Because if Chelsea did this 5 years ago, especially pre-COVID, like that's a big transfer for a major club and a club that has just so much history, and you're like, yeah, they had a huge overhaul, and like the numbers wouldn't have been as astronomical, but 130 million for Enzo Fernandez, that unfortunately for a club that is as desperate as Chelsea is for somebody at that position, and with the money that they have and the money that whoever the seller is knows that they have, and the situation that they're in, yeah, it's going to get there. Like the transfer market that can't be how we measure somebody's success or failures in a transfer market. Does that make sense?
Unfortunately, that's the first number we're given for them, though. Apart from their goal contributions and their game started or their clean sheets as a keeper, that price tag is extremely telling, and it's uniform across world football. If somebody is worth $5 million to City, they are also worth $5 million to Benfica.
It's not uniform, though, in terms of like, because you look at these players as commodities. Who's the most valuable player in the Premier League right now?
Enzo Fernandez.
Stop. Who's the most valuable player in the Premier League? This is an easy answer. It's Erling Haaland.
Kane.
It's Erling Haaland.
Oh, yeah.
Is it not?
But yeah.
Probably.
Okay. Goals.
Based on his age, yeah.
Goals. I'm not saying who's the best player in the Premier League, who's the most valuable, who's the most valuable.
Erling Haaland has the best output. I wouldn't call him the most valuable.
He's up there. You bought him for X amount of money, and his output has been this. Okay? Theoretically, nobody should be going for more money than him because you're not going to get the level of output for that commodity from anybody else. You're just not. And that includes Odegaard, that includes Kevin De Bruyne. Like that's just simply the fact.
I don't have to tell you that the goal contributions are skewed for attackers, and you're not going to get that kind of a value or that kind of a number to put on like a defender, for example, or even a midfielder like Enzo Fernandez. He's not a goal scoring midfielder. But that $130 million price tag, I realize that some clubs just have more money to spend than others. Sometimes you do it improperly.
If Darwin Núñez had gone for 40 million, we'd probably still be shitting on him as much as we are.
Absolutely.
He does is astronomically just horrific. But I think that it would be lesser. And yet it's the first thing that everybody jumps at, but I think that it's ignorant by nature. I think we need to be more nuanced than that to believe this inflated transfer market that exists in a post-COVID world. I really
can't put the onus on fans to be more nuanced when you have clubs spending hundreds of millions of dollars in a January transfer window on players that Brentford could have gotten for 20 mil, I guess.
But these,
It's an exaggeration, but it's,
but these
it's
people
not on
are in
us to be
charge.
nuanced.
But the people in charge are human beings, and they're making decisions and transactions on emotions, just like any other human being. I mean, if Edu Gaspar is in a conversation about Jorginho or whatever it might be, and he knows that they need a holding central midfielder in order to make a proper title race, and they don't get the deal done, and then he loses his job, he needs to be able to explain why they didn't get him. Oh, the price tag was a little bit higher than our data analytics team had initially. Fuck that. Pay an extra 15 million for a guy who's only worth, 35, whatever it might be. Like, these decisions are being made by human beings, and they're getting caught up in the moment of what the club needs, being able to explain the decision, in addition to the fact that, like, the market is broken already. Like,
it's a seller's market right now.
Yes.
To be honest, you love to be like a Portuguese team, a Dutch team, a Ukrainian team,
Brighton.
A Brighton, right? We're picking them clean for the next 3 years, and their scouting is phenomenal. Wow, thank you. But it's just that you're right. At the end of the day, it's the market to blame. It's no one owner or club or player for their price tag. It's kind of the unrelenting snowball that is the player market.
It's sporting directors and agents, unfortunately, who are responsible for this.
Unrelenting snowball. Well done, Mitch. I do actually agree with you on Arsenal's business. You needed depth, and you got depth. So I don't know much about the center back you got, but we need center backs. So I'm just kind of jealous about that. Anyway, losers. Well, I was still on the winner side. Wolves. I got to throw Wolves in there. They did a whole host of business. They needed to just do something because they were awful. They were awful in the first half of the season. I don't know if those guys are going to come good or not. I don't think that Liverpool game is something we can really judge their transfer business on. It was a great game for them, but there were some weird goals there. Anyway, losers, Everton, like, they're terrible, and they didn't get anybody. It's just they couldn't even get Andre Ayew. He got snapped up by Forest, I think. Just a terrible situation.
Where would you rather go play right now, Forest? Or
I understand why he went there. He was a free agent, so he could go wherever he wanted. I said this last week. I don't know if it was on this podcast or on the Barstool Picks one, but I think Everton's going to be safe. I think Dyche is going to, and that was before they beat Arsenal. I think Dyche is
what you hired him for. Like that
exactly. He showed exactly why they hired him in that first game. Liverpool, do we want to even talk about Liverpool's window? Are you just sort of depressed too much?
What do you want to talk about? Like, what are we
what are we doing?
Okay. No, it's not. I knew this was going to happen. I mean, like, how are you going to convince John Henry to spend money if he's not going to own the team in 2 months or 2 weeks? You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
Yep.
I get it. We're gonna be in a relegation battle with our Merseyside brethren, but
we'll get to that derby soon. But the other sort of the most interesting, or sort of longer in terms of a longer perspective, the most interesting story is going to be that Chelsea window, because they, like, you can talk about Barcelona mortgaging their future, but like these contracts that they're giving out, 8 years to Mudryk and 7 years and whatever, that comes with a lot of risk. And I don't, we talk about how much they're spending, how do they get away with this and all that. It does sound like they got their ducks in the row. They, Bowley and his accountants, they figured out how to get around the financial fair play with these long contracts. And it sounds like, UEFA is going to change the rules because of it. It is a big risk. If Mudryk is
you didn't get a striker, and
they didn't get a 9. They still got Havertz as your striker. What the? Anyway, speaking of risks. Okay, there you go. Transfer winners and losers quickly. Weekend results. Everton Arsenal is the first one that we got to talk about here. I mean, Mitch, what are your, did you have any sort of big thoughts on this, or was it just like, what, we shat the bed mightily, and that's gonna happen every now and again, and that's it?
None of my thoughts are big. They're all in shape. I want to put this game in the past. I think you summed it up pretty nicely. We kind of shit the bed. Everton took their chance. We looked messy. That new manager bounce is real. It is so real. Sean is there to do what he's done. It was a disappointing game, and it was one that we kind of had coming. We were on a phenomenal run of form. Nobody in North London expected us to like maintain that level of excellence the entire season. This is the dip. These past 2 games have been the dip. Really looking forward to the weekend ahead and turning that around.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be an easy one. We'll get to that Brentford
No, it's
game.
not. And I've heard we have Anthony Taylor as our official, which is just fantastic. Just really looking forward to that.
Oh, I love that guy. He was at the Club World Cup. I saw he reffed the Sounders game. So there was this, Arsenal finally, mercifully, shit the bed. I've been waiting for this to happen for months, and then Tottenham come and fucking ruin everything for ourselves, for City, for Manchester's. What the fuck are we doing beating City? I have no idea how we did it. Kind of looked like a good team. Emerson Royale looked like actually a decent soccer player. It was weird. That was just a weird game.
He's an enigma, isn't he, Royale?
He's just frustrating. Really.
Yeah.
He could play in the Premier League and look like he could fit in, but I could also see him playing in MLS and be like, yeah, it's a bang on winger fullback in MLS too. Like
so bad sometimes. He is so bad sometimes, but he was great. And that game was, and that was like my biggest takeaway. Like, holy shit, Emerson Royale. Excuse me. I had a lot of mixed emotions about winning that game, but a win's a win, and we're in the top 4, battle, which is
listen to you trying to play this off and trying to like act like you're kind of somewhat upset that you beat Manchester City because you're Arsenal. First of all, no, you're not. No, you are not. You would not. That I will not buy into that. You will
the
not.
Only reason you're upset is because you had over 2.5. That's the only reason you can pretend to be upset.
I was upset about that too. You're right.
Yeah.
Over 2.5. I mean, you're basically saying like City's going to win 3-0. I mean, Spurs wasn't going to score. Spurs wasn't going to score more than a goal.
Yeah. Well, I pretty much figured that they were going to score 2 or 3 on us, and we were going to get
didn't
one.
look like that team anymore.
They didn't. That's what scares me.
They look like a team that has something coming their way.
Yeah, right. Well, so we didn't talk about this before. I don't think this investigation or whatever has anything to do with that loss on Sunday. Do you think moving forward, the looming?
You don't think that had anything to do with you don't think that the players knew? You don't think that Cancelo knew before he leaves for Bayern? Come on.
I really don't think the Cancelo situation had anything to do with it. It's like, if you listen, this is all rumors, but it sounds like he had a falling out with Pep, and Pep's like, fine, you can fucking, it's my way or the highway. You can get the fuck out. And they sent him out. That's just my take on that. Now, in looking back, with this coming down the pike, maybe there's a little something more to it. I don't know, but it will be interesting.
I think that they all knew that this was going to be made public this week, for sure. Sure.
Timeline plays a huge factor in here.
Because think about it this way. Sorry, Mitch. These guys didn't do anything wrong, and they're about to get punished. They could theoretically they might already know what the punishment is going to be. They might already know it's going to be 20 points and that their season is basically going to be a battle to try to get back in the top 4. They might already know that.
If they had known that, though, Cancelo wouldn't have been the only one that fled. Last podcast that I was on, and we were talking about the Juve situation, I had this weird theory that they should they should penalize Juve at the beginning of next season, have them start with negative 15 points, so you can give the players who haven't really done anything wrong or were, pretty innocent throughout this whole thing to a chance to jump ship before that season starts. I want to scale that back now and say that City should be relegated, but it's
But some of them might be guilty of participating and taking some money that they weren't supposed to be taking as well. Like, they could be getting paid. They could be getting some wages and some things that they shouldn't be getting from these.
But those negotiations go through the agent. You're very rarely talking to a player.
What? So just because that's like, not being responsible for, what's going into your body because you hire a dietitian and they put in a legal substance by accident into your protein shake.
But that's their legal safeguard, is them and if an agent was smart,
it's not their moral one though. You can't fool the guy in the mirror, baby.
Oh, now soccer players are all moral. Okay.
I'm moral, and I'm holding them to a moral standard. If I have to air my grievances and be unfiltered and brutally honest on Sam's Army podcast, they need to do the same and look themselves in the mirror and only take clean money
on Sam's Army podcast.
Yes, and I only take clean money from Sam's army.
Yeah,
Yep.
we all do, which is not much. All right. Well, listen, I could talk about this City situation all day, but let's look at the other games. Any others stand out from the weekend? Everton, Arsenal, Chelsea, Fulham was on Friday. I mean, like, clearly the Chelsea is still. It's funny.
No goals, and a clean sheet for Ream team at the bridge. I mean, dose me up, baby.
With a huge goal line save, I might add. Tim Ream had himself a game.
Premier League team of the week. I mean, it's like fucking 16 weeks running. This guy's a machine.
Yes, we're a little President Ream team over here. Newcastle somehow not beating West Ham. The problem with Newcastle, they draw so many games. How many draws do they have on the season right now? They have 10 draws. 10 draws.
Did Isak play?
I don't remember seeing him. If he did, he came on late.
They need a healthy dose of Christian Pulisic and Alexander Isak up top. And that's what they need.
Wouldn't mind that. Would not mind that.
Isak's so fun to watch. I met him. This is a self plug. I met him when he was at Dortmund. They flew out to LA. This is back when actually he played with Pulisic on Dortmund. I met him, Jadon Sancho, and Sergio Gomez, who's a left back for City. And we just walked around Hollywood Boulevard and shot the shit for a while. Top lad.
Yeah.
Top lad. Yeah. Really good kid. All of them. Sancho was quiet, and Sergio Gomez didn't speak much English, but like me and Isak, top dude.
Lad. Love that.
You're still on, like, you email each other every now and again.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. The other game, so I knew Leicester is not nearly as bad as their record suggests, and they had James Maddison back, and he really is a difference maker for them. And that game, I knew there was going to be
that whole game.
He was awesome in that game. Brentford, beat the shit out of Southampton, so that'll make for an interesting game coming up this weekend. All right, let's go to the weekend. We're going to skip power rankings because you guys hate it so much. What games this weekend will catch it? Well, we actually have a game on Wednesday, an interesting one. Manchester United hosting Leeds, disunited, and then a whole weekend. So let's start with the Manchester United Leeds game before we go to the weekend. Any thoughts on that, Tyler?
This is the Chris Armico Classico. We got where it once was and now where he is. The man who just continuously is employed in some pretty fortuitous situations. But no,
his timing, by the way, to get in at Leeds by definitely Marsch, and then Marsch is gone.
CJ Brown of the Chicago Fire, who's like really good friends with Chris. And they obviously played together at the Fire. Him and I had a long conversation about Jesse. He's like, we call him Jesus sometimes because the amount of luck and just sort of like serendipity, divine intervention that this man experiences from a timing standpoint in his life is like, it's beyond reproach or beyond anything that's normal. So like, there's a running joke that like his timing in this world has been impeccable for years now.
And this being Chris Armas, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, this is going to be a great game. Plenty of intrigue. I mean, it's United has been on a warpath, and Rashford is reborn after the second best coach between Ronaldo and Messi left. And I'm excited to see what's going on.
Goals.
Goals. Sure.
Goals.
2-1 United.
Okay. What about the weekend? Mitch, I think you got to go first here because I think this Arsenal-Brentford game, if not, it's the game of the weekend, I think. Like the Merseyside Daerby certainly isn't. No offense, but it's got to be.
Leeds and United play back-to-back. I love that.
Yeah, they do.
Love that. This game has 2-1 Arsenal written all over it. Brentford score for sure. I really, really want to see Eddie Nketiah bag one. He's been really efficient with his time and his chances, but he needs another. I'm nervous, but it doesn't give me the nerves that like an Everton would,
An Everton?
Yeah.
Oh God, I gotta wear a little more antiperspirant, but
I'm actually really curious to see like how we rotate in anticipation for next midweek when we play our second game against City.
Right, because we were talking about that before. That you guys had 2 games
Yeah.
don't know if it was you or Mikey, but one of you guys said, these could be some, get tripped up games. Looking over.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you've been trying to jinx our title hopes for months now.
Finally, it's on a little
and
fruit.
you can't we really can't claim that until you play them twice. First one didn't come out as we wanted to. Would love some revenge next Wednesday, but I guess if City are getting relegated, so we don't really have to worry about it. Maybe we can rest them that game and play our full 11 on against Brentford. I would love the sanctions to come out like Tuesday afternoon and have them. If actually, I wouldn't love that, because then that City team would come out with an absolute vengeance and roll us.
I don't think they have that. I don't think they have that in them right now.
Oh yeah, they do. Erling does. I know Erling would bag.
Yeah,
too.
but his ginger deliverer of all things being goals is
Pep
where is he?
ginger
Nowhere
deliverer.
to be found. Nowhere to be found.
He must be hurt.
Weird call to start him on the bench.
I would. Well, given his form recently, City has
Did you
City
see
has a plethora of talent?
The lack of willingness to even play a ball to Haaland through the number of times Haaland made a run through that back line and Bernardo Silva looked at him, said, "Hey, what's going on?" and continued to dribble the ball and pass it out wide. Mind numbing.
I thought Spurs. I don't know. I thought Spurs set up really well and made.
I do too. And we said this in the past. Spurs play City well.
Look at Sam's face. Look at Sam's face when I said that. He had this little like.
We've said that Spurs play City well. We've established this, and I love that we could rely on you guys for a result. Really well done this weekend.
I like Ivan Toney late equalizer and stoppage time at the Emirates. 1-1 finish.
Ooh. Is it like between 85 and 90?
No, it's stoppage time. We are there is a plus sign next to our scorebook. Yeah. No, it's late.
Wow. I like that. That's a soul crusher right there.
That's an Ivan Toney best bet right there.
I think Arsenal are going to score early on. They're going to take their foot off the gas for a little while. Brentford.
We haven't taken our foot off the gas when we score first this season, though. That is something we've done.
You are due. I'm an analytics guy. My big analytics
our books were just overdue. We just lost our past two. That was our due date. It's done. That's in the past now. We've established this.
It's like my love life, Mitchell. I am due. I am due to find the one because I've had.
You are.
I've had some bad luck recently. I am due. It's the same theory that applies. Just because it hasn't happened for a while doesn't mean that it's going to continue to happen.
Dry spell much?
It's not no. It has nothing to do with the dry. I mean, you know that it's not a dry spell. What I'm telling you is that it's just in terms of love, in terms of finding that life partner that you just want to build something with. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's what it has nothing to do with the drive. Don't go there with it.
All right, you're being a romantic. I forgot. Let's go to stoppage time. Let's actually quickly on here's anybody on. You got to go on YouTube to see it, but there's Mitch and all his boys. It doesn't really come through very well on that, but that's Isaac and Sancho and Gomez, right?
They look young. You look young.
Yeah,
you look like young up in that.
That was 2018. I think.
Oh wow,
that 5 years ago.
Yeah. Jesus, that is kind of a while ago. Quickly on the before we get to stoppage time, the rest of world. It was kind of a banner weekend for U.S. men's national team players. See if I can. PFOC, Malik Tillman, Austin Trusty, and Gio Reyna all scored goals this weekend. Gio Reyna
played well too. Didn't score. Pepe played well.
Pepe played well. Taylor Booth, I saw, had a good game for Utrecht. I mean, listen, we got guys doing things.
Are you watching First Division Dutch games? Is that what you do in your spare time?
Me? No, I watch
Pepe. I watch it because of Pepe was. I don't make a habit of it.
I do this for a living and I'm not watching him. You're insane.
Listen, it's U.S. men's national team. It's all right.
Yeah. He's not U.S. men's national team. He hasn't made a cap.
He's not.
Made a cap in what?
Soon. He sees
Good
the future.
Lord.
All right, stoppage time. Let's put a little bow on this. So, best bets. You guys were throwing around best with the Arsenal Brentford. Either one of you actually want to step up and make that your best bet?
Yeah, let's go Brentford, Arsenal, draw, United, win over Leeds.
Okay. All right.
You're gonna have to wait for your second leg of the parlay from Wednesday till the weekend, which I know is tantalizing and it's gonna get your nipples tingling for a little while, but just hold off. Hold off on that satisfaction.
It does. As somebody who does enjoy a good parlay here and there, it does stink to like just be sitting there with.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, my Zach Edey future bet for wooden player of the year that I made back in November. It's about to come good, but it's been a while. Mitch knows what I'm talking about.
I do. I like that a lot. I
No
really
Boilermakers.
I'll cook up a little parlay. I like both teams to score in Palace Brighton, and I like Spurs money line.
You get some good odds on both teams to score in that Palace Brighton game, though.
-120. Yep.
There you go.
Matoma, if you're feeling real ballsy, like Matoma goal or assist, he's been on a tear. The kid looks good.
Yeah, no, I'm a Liverpool fan. I know he's been on a tear. Thank you. I appreciate
that.
I don't love the Leicester Tottenham. You really like Tottenham in that?
Yeah, I like Spurs money line there.
Huh.
No, not coming off of a win like that. I mean, this is Spursy performance written all over it. Come on.
All right.
I'm just
what would you if you had one bet in that Spurs Leicester game, what would it be?
Both teams to score.
Emerson Royale red card.
I like both of those parlay. I like both teams to score. I'm going to do a both teams to score parlay here because it absolutely murdered me this weekend. I got cleaned out badly on several games, and it's gonna come full circle here. So Leeds United, they'll get one on Sunday at Leeds. Both teams to score there. Arsenal Brentford, both teams to score, and Leicester Tottenham, both teams to score. Those three together, parlay them. I think that's it's got to be good money. I didn't actually look it up, but I like those three together. Okay, now we will move on to everybody's favorite segment here. It is GOAWs time. Mitchell or we're adding our own sound.
You're an idiot.
How
long have you been doing this? This is the first time you've ever made that sound. What prompted you today of all days? Why is tonight different than all?
I have no idea. It's because I'm not drinking because I have to go play soccer. By the way, I'm getting back on the soccer field today for the first time in months. So everybody, your thoughts and prayers aren't going to help. But I'm going to be in like a full body cast tomorrow. I can feel it. My trick back is going to go out. And you're old when you're talking about your trick back. It's true. Who wants to go first on GOAWs? Anybody?
Yeah, I got one. It's Paul Fernandez from Boca Juniors. He had his 100th appearance at La Bombonera earlier today. Went over, celebrated with some fans, gave his jersey away, and you can see like just how much he means to that fandom and that supporter base. He showed love to a fellow with disability, and I love love. I love heartwarming, wholesome shit like that. And that's really beautiful. I'll give a consolation GOA to Harry Kane for his record, but that's kind of secondary to the whole.
We didn't even mention it. I wasn't going to, but
you weren't. I think it deserves mentioning. And it comes in a win against City. Like that's got to feel good that it wasn't in a meaningless draw. That's good on him. Don't like to give him credit, but good on him.
267 goals. That's not nothing. And he's still got a lot more goals in him. I don't know who it's going to be for. We'll see about that. Tyler, who you got?
I'm going to stay on brand here with some Liverpool talk. Jamie Carragher coming out after the 3-0 loss against Wolves. And I think he said what I think a lot of Liverpool fans, I'm sure, are listening to this and are thinking to themselves, like, yeah, might be time for Klopp to go. But at the same time, from like a human being standpoint and somebody who has taken us from Europa League to, basically perennial powerhouse in a matter of 6 or 7 years, needs to go or should stay because of that. And Jamie Carragher came out and said what I think a lot of us were thinking was that, like, change everybody else at the club before you change Jurgen. Now, at the same time, like, this is like a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde. Jamie Carragher is a good go and bad go all in one for this, because I think that that hits the pulse of what Liverpool fans feel and their sentiment towards Jurgen Klopp. But at the same time, that's simply just not the way that the footballing world works.
It's unrealistic. That's a populist statement. Basically.
And And I think that Liverpool fans need to reflect on what is best for this club. And I think, unfortunately, a new coach bump, whether it be now or whether it be during the summer transfer window, like, needs to come into play. And maybe the new owner gets a fresh start or whatever it might be. But like, I think he hit the nail on the head. And now we all just sort of need to think like, okay, like, yeah, this guy is going to be a legend with the likes of Bill Shankly and Bob Paisley, but like, everybody has their time. This isn't Manchester United where Sir Alex is going to be around for 20 plus years, or Arsene Wenger. We don't live in that world anymore. So we probably are going to need to say goodbye, but the sentiment is that he's a living legend and we need to treat him as such when we do say goodbye.
Yeah, that there's parallels there. When I saw Carragher say that, and like I've heard it with other people as well, it just reminded me of Tottenham and Pochettino. Like at the time,
Oh, stop it.
Well, it's
Don't
different.
act like those two things don't act like Pochettino and Klopp belong in the same conversation.
Pochettino did just as good a job with what he was given at Tottenham.
Okay.
Than as Klopp did. With
maybe he should have won a champion. Maybe he should have beat Liverpool in the Champions League final then if he did as good of a job.
I mean, you know, we didn't pay the ref enough, unlike you guys. But the thing about it is that when there were all this talk about like they weren't listening to Pochettino anymore, blah blah blah. My thought was like, okay, get rid of all the players. Keep maybe Kane. That was maybe it. Like, you know, like everybody else, if you're not listening to Pochettino anymore, he was an incredible manager. He wasn't 7 years in either, like Klopp is. So I just, it resonated with me when he sort of talked about that.
That's cute. Nice.
Sorry, did I hit a nerve there? With
you didn't hit a nerve. It's just funny that you think that like Pochettino and Klopp are worthy of being in the same segment here.
In terms of what they did for their clubs with what they were given, I actually do think that Pochettino is in the same breath as Klopp. Listen, you're talking to a Tottenham fan. Trophies, they're meaningless. How many banners does Klopp have? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. My Goa is I got one is just random. This is like whoever Azeta Design came up with this new jersey for like a Syria D team in Italy, and it's got boobies all over it. And if you come out with a jersey that's got boobs on it, listen, you have won with me. This team is Kavasi, 4th tier Syria D, and they got boobs on a jersey. Okay, you sold me. I'm in on that. I had another one, and I'm trying to remember who it was. If they don't come, I remember now. This is my actual goal. Fuller and Balogun. This kid is absolutely killing it. Thankfully, not for Arsenal, even though he's an Arsenal player. But he's on, loan in France right now. He was, I don't know if he still is, but he was leading Liga in scoring. He is U.S. men's national team eligible. And the kid is he's 21 years old. He obviously is a talent. I don't know who's talking to him. I did a post on Instagram about this. We need to get in this kid's ear because I don't know who at the U.S. Soccer Federation is doing it for us.
I think a lot of the players are. I know like the likes of Yunus Musa are
Matt Turner's
recruiting him. Matt Turner, he's capped. Oh yeah, with Turner at Arsenal, like that's going to be he's coming home. Don't worry. Balogun is on a tear. He's coming off a hat trick in 20-something minutes. I want to say I'm confident that he'll choose the United States. He's cap tied for both the U.S. and England. But everything that I've been following about him for the past year and a half, 2 years has told me that his allegiance lies with red, white, and blue. That could change, but I'm kind of trying to speak it into existence.
I was going to say, if I had to guess, I thought he was leading England. That's maybe why that and the fact he's Arsenal sort of made me, cool on it. But like just how hot he's been lately.
Where does he fit into that England side? Realistic, if I'm him and I'm a 21-year-old ripping up a league and the leading scorer in a league with Lionel Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, and I'm looking to make the most of my time as a 21-year-old striker, I'm choosing the red, white, and blue.
Listen, I like the thought process. I'm with you on that. I mean, we're hosting 2026. We've got talent at striker, but nobody's grabbed the position and made it theirs. So if you want to speak it into existence, you are more than welcome to use this platform to do so. And anybody who's listening, just go start spamming Fuller and Balogun's, Instagram and Twitter, whatever, with the, red, white, and blue American flags, because it worked. It's worked in the past. I'll just say that. And that's all we got. Mitch, Tyler, you guys are beautiful, the greatest. Everybody, thank you for listening. And we're not done, though. Time to send it to a discussion with Kellen Rowe, Seattle Sounders. Here we go.